Good morning. Hi, Sylvia. How are you? You should have I was just telling Andy that you guys should have the chat option available as we go. Um, we normally keep the video and the audio option off, especially on the free session, because we have been getting a lot of bot attacks on these free sessions. But I am going to keep an eye on the chat as we speak for the next few minutes. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, put that in the chat. Okay, but let's kind of get started here. My name is Mana, and I want to welcome you guys in this space. I Let's take a few minutes and if you could just put in the chat um, your intention for the session, just tell me what brings you here. Okay, and why are you drawn to mediumship? You can put that in the chat. What brings you here and why are you drawn to mediumship? Now, as you guys do that, I have been a medium since I was about 4 years old. And my very first vivid experience conversing with a spirit was around 6 years old. That kind of marked a very long twisted kind of journey into death education. So I'm a death educator, I'm a death doula for about 17 years, having started with on the job training with my mom, who, um, who had a very long battle with cancer. So I became her unofficial doula, death doula, for the last several months of her life. My educational background is therapy, but my intuitive background is of being a channel. I have been a psychic medium and a death doula. And I absolutely love teaching and guiding mediumship and everything around death education. I think we should all do that, right? We should all study death. And in the next 45 minutes, I'm just going to share a bit about the mediumship training that's coming up. Okay. And let me take a look at the chat and see what's going on here. So, Andy, oh, you did. Oh, you were at the Linden Hotel. So great. Beautiful. And Sylvia, drawn to me. Mm, you have the calming energy, and we both are mediums. Beautiful. And what I want to do in the next few minutes, even for those who are not here, but I'm sure people watching this later, is to um, kind of take away those layers of doubt, those layers of questions and the fear that we have that clouds our human brain, and that fear of the unknown, or in some cases, it's just not wanting to know, right? Not wanting to know or understand the intangible. And I think that same fear is also what kind of keeps us away from our loved ones. Most of you who are drawn into mediumship are either trying to develop or find some ways to kind of deepen your mediumship, or there are people, I have had students over the years who had no background in mediumship, but they had lost someone they loved. And they were really, really trying to reach out to that particular person. So the ultimate fear for human beings is death, right? It's our death or it's the death of someone that we love. And I know for one thing, and perhaps you, Andy, and Sylvia, you guys may resonate with this, is in developing psychic mediumship. The more you study this, the more you begin to lose that fear of dying. Okay, there's this weird understanding on awareness that comes with it, with studying something, right? So I have had questions before where people would say, what if I study death? Does that mean I'm going to manifest it? And I just want you to know, um, it doesn't work like that. Okay. You're not going to manifest something simply because you're studying it. Death is a constant, right? We're all going to die at some point. Studying death will make you understand it and it will prepare you, okay, when it does happen. So everybody can extend their psychic mediumship. You can be someone who is just completely new to psychic mediumship, and you in within 2 or 3 weeks you'll be speaking with the spirit that you want to speak with. Okay. So in my experience of teaching mediumship for so long, almost everyone, I yeah, I mean, there's probably one person that comes to my mind who started speaking with a spirit in week 6 of the program, which is a little later than most others. But by the time you're week 2 or 3, you're already speaking with spirits. That is not the channel, the challenge, though. Okay, the challenge is how are you going to sustain that link? Okay, how are you going to make sure that you are able to trust that connection? Because if you are not a healed vessel, okay, if your body, your mind, your spirit is not healed, you're not constantly working on yourself, then even with like a tiny bit of turbulence in your outside life, that connection is gone. Okay, a little bit of doubt, a little bit of questioning, not feeling good, being sick, and not being a good vessel is how I describe it, because our bodies are vessels or mediumship. So if you're not physically and mentally in a good place, then it really doesn't matter whether you connect with them or not. You're not going to be able to sustain that link for a very long time. And even if you do connect, it's going to feel like a patchy connection. Like, when you call overseas and the connection is kind of patchier, that's how it's going to feel. Yeah. So there is a vast amount of evidence, both scientific and anecdotal at this point, clearly displaying that our life continues beyond physical death. Okay, there's so much research. I feel like we are fortunate to live in this time when science and mediumship are coming together. Okay, there are a lot of things that mediums intuitively see and feel and sense, and now science is just proving it, right? So we have a lot of research out there. As this mountain of evidence grows, also the number of people who are drawn into psychic mediumship. Like Andy, you met me at that reading, right? And you're kind of drawn to it since you were a child. So this is just to tell you that you're not alone in it. Okay, there's so many people. We have hundreds of people going through mediumship training with me every year. And it's so amazing to see it. So amazing that more people are coming into death doula work too. So mediumship can be a little like, I don't know if I want to speak with a dead person, because that's what we think a medium is, right? But with death doula, I see so many men and women coming into death education, which is amazing. So let's begin with the most basic question. What is mediumship? The word medium or median simply means that you, as the vessel, you're going to be in the middle of two dimensions. On one side, you have the energy world that is manifested in the form of light and sound and our loved ones who have passed away. And then on the other side, you have people like you and I who live in a mass form in the bodies, right? So even not just living folks, but the chair that you're sitting on, the house that you live in, the car that you drive, anything that is in the form of a mass is the other side of it. And as a medium, you are in the middle. You're right in this, you're sandwiched and you're able to speak with, communicate with both sides equally. Okay, because you're not really speaking a verbal language, you're speaking the language of energy. So, like I mentioned to you before, anyone can do this. Okay, this is not some special skill set. All it requires is your persistence, right? Consistency and practice. And then having a good teacher and a good community always helps. But a lot of this is on you, right? How much you show up. Like we do these things called Saturday practice sessions every once a month. We will have a free client who signs up. And then all my students, past students and present students, we all practice. So you have to keep practicing to be really good at this. And that's pretty much life, right? If you want to be good at something, you have to practice it. So let's look at the difference between a psychic and a medium. I'm going to come to this in a second. I do want to mention to you that most people kind of use psychic and medium in like one sentence. Like, I'm a psychic medium. But just because you're a psychic doesn't make you a medium. Okay. All mediums are psychics because psychic is like the foundation. It's a foundational work that we do before you grow into your mediumship. But not all psychics are mediums. Like I mentioned, you have to study mediumship. So, as a psychic, you tune into the energy field of living beings or places or objects or animals. But as a medium, you are now taking it a notch higher. Okay, now you are able to speak with non-mass energies, energies that are just floating around, loved ones, light, whatever you want to call it, fairies, ascended masters, spirit guides. Um, so once again, not all psychics are mediums, but all mediums are psychics. Okay, so if you go to a spiritual university, your foundation basics will be psychic studies, right? That can have so many different things in it: Reiki, crystal healing, sound healing, just psychic studies, like just being physical vessel for psychic work. And then mediumship one and mediumship two would be your masters. Okay, and then if you want to go beyond that, you have channeling, physical channeling. But I recommend to my students not to get into channeling until they have spent enough time in mediumship one and two. Now, when you study with me, I tell people, because if you have to redo it, it's free. Okay. If you're studying with me, like with CLI. Um, so a lot of my students will do level one mediumship and they repeat it. They take it again because you need to, it's just 12 weeks is not going to be enough, right? You need a ton of practice. So I've had people who have been taking level one for the last 2 years. They keep doing it because every time you study something new, right? And then you do level two mediumship, stay in that for a little bit. And once you spend a good amount of time in psychic mediumship, let's say 2 years, then think about channeling. Okay, because now you have sound understanding of energy world. So before you open yourself to physically channeling something, you need to know exactly how what you're doing, what you're channeling, right? So that brings me to, how do mediums receive the information that we do? So I'm going to try and make it compact. Okay, so the 12 weeks, I'm going to compact that in the next few minutes. The way I look at it is, you need to have all three of these things that you see on the slide: human body, human mind, and human spirit aligned for mediumship to work in the best way. Okay, so let's look at the human body. When I say the human body, I mean your bones and your tissues and your glands and your organs. So anything that you can actually see, right? Anything you can touch. The human body, it comprises of matter and energy, and incredibly, incredibly, at any given moment, roughly 20 watts of energy moves through your body. That's enough to power a light bulb. That's how much energy we have moving through our body. Okay. Science has proven that we and everything around us is energy. So when you look at objects under a microscope, so if I was to take a sample of, let's say, Sylvia, your skin, and put that in the microscope, I am going to see lots and lots of empty space in it with small particles that are floating adrift, but they're highly charged, right? The cells and the atoms, they're highly charged and they're constantly moving. So it's kind of a microscopic view of what the universe looks like. So look up at the sky, it's like vast empty space with energy at its core. And that's how our bodies are built. Okay, vast empty space with energy at its core. So the top layer is the human body. And I do want to spend a little bit of time here. So let me show you something real quick. I'm going to stop share for just a minute. Okay, so um, when I do trauma healing work with some of my clients, We use a machine called BioWell, and that through your fingerprints, it shows you your energetic health. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is basically a client of mine. And when we scanned her, this was her auric field. Okay, so that's her body in the middle. And then you see all around her is the aura. That's the energetic field. And you see how ripped it is? It's like literally rips and tears in it, right? Big holes in it. So this is what I meant when I said, if you are not a healed vessel, imagine this person trying to channel. Imagine them trying to bring in energy for someone else. Their own energy is leaking. Their own energy is just like being wasted out because there's so many rips and tears. And you may ask me, why is this the case? Well, let's quickly look at their stress levels. Look at the stress levels on this person. They were like 10 out of 10, almost 10 out of 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. What kind of stress could this be? Well, it could be physical stress, right? It could be maybe they're lifting boxes or something, but it is also definitely emotional stress that we carry. Sickness and illness is all just a manifestation of the energetic health. So whatever she's feeling mentally and energetically is then going to show up physically. And in her case, because her stress levels were so high, it manifested in the form of a very bad energetic health. Okay. And then she has symptoms after symptoms of sickness, right? So her chakras, which are power centers in your body, is still talking energy health, right? Your power centers in the body that allow you to channel information. They all need to be balanced. They all need to be right in the middle. See the white balls? That's how they all need to be same size and right by the spine. But in her case, they're all over the place, different sizes, different shapes. So this person is obviously not the best vessel to channel information or healing for others. Now ask yourself, how many healers out there even know about this or realize that their energy space is torn apart because of the stress, the mental stress, emotional stress, bad relationships, trauma, abuse, things that they haven't really worked through, right? It's all creating stress on your body, making you into a very bad channel to receive information. Okay. And so this person worked with me for a little bit, and this is the after and before. And you can see her aura was all patched up, and then her stress levels came down. So it's not that you cannot fix it. Energy is amazing. You can fix it within minutes. It's just that we aren't aware of it. We just walk through life thinking we're fine, and then we get sick. We're carrying all these emotional things from our past, from our childhood, whether it's abuse or, just whatever you're dealing with. Sometimes these things are deep in our psyche, constantly creating rips and tears. Okay. So let me stop share. And yeah, the bio was amazing. So let's go back here for a quick second. So you have your mind, you have your body, which needs to be in top shape, as I mentioned to you. If there are rips and tears, you're leaking energy out. You're probably not the best channel to bring in healing for anyone. Okay. Then you have your mind. Your mind has 16 different dimensions in mediumship, but we kind of put them into 4 buckets. Okay, so the first bucket is your brain. Then you have, which on the slide you'll see, it's your intellect. Okay, not your intelligence, your intellect. Then you have your identity, which is your ego. Okay, so we call it ahamkar. And then you have memory, which is your karma. So karma is not what people think it is. Karma is basically your actions, everything that you've ever done in your life, previous lifetimes, in between lifetimes, ancestral DNA. All those things become your active memory. And then you have your intuition or your intelligence. So those are the 4 buckets of your mind. And the human mind as has so much say in everything. Okay, so your body is your laptop, is going to allow you to make sense of the information you're receiving. But your mind is what's going to allow you to receive it in the first place. Okay, you're going to receive information based on the state of your mind. And this is why, as if you look at channels, people who physically channel things, you have to be very careful who's channeling for you. I'm not talking about mediums. I'm talking about channels. Because if they have not worked through all these things, or if they can sometimes channel from deep psyche, they can channel from down instead of from source. Okay, so you have to be careful who's actually channeling for you. Um, then you have the next thing is your energy system it's kind of like your wiring. That's how I look at it. It's like the electrical wiring in your body, your biofield, your chakras. There are 114 chakras, 72,000 nadis, out of which three nadis are super important. Okay, so one runs through your spine, and then there's one right to the right of your spine and left of your spine. So there are three main nadis, but there are 72,000 nadis, or think of them like tubes of energy passing through like an electrical circuit. Okay. And then you have your clear senses. So all these things need to be, I love that. Spirit is pure consciousness. It flows through your energy system, which is basically your vibrational interface. I love that. That animates your body and your mind, physical and psychological experience. So that's how everything falls in place, okay, for a medium. And then finally, your spirit. Your spirit is, I like this next slide here for a quick second. Look at this slide. I love this. Uh, I use this quite a bit in the death doula work, and I love it because it kind of helps you visualize how you operate. Okay, so your body as the top surface of the ocean, right, where tsunamis and waves happen. So all the emotional stuff that goes on is on the surface level. Okay, then you have the second layer of the ocean where the sunlight can reach would be your mind, your energy body. Think of it like when you go for a massage or you go for a Reiki, they're working on your energetic body. Okay, so the energy body is the second layer. And then you have your spirit, which is like the ocean bed, the bedrock of the ocean. That is the slow moving, the ancient, the wise, and the kind, and that understands the oneness of who you are, right? So those are the three layers of us. And as mediums, it's not just that we need to live in all these three layers, but it's also a good skill set to see when you're speaking with someone where they live. Because there may be people who just live a very physical life, right? They've never thought of themselves more than a body. When those people die, excuse my language, they become pain in the butt. Okay. When those people die because they have lived for so many years thinking of themselves as just a physical person. And when that physical body is gone, it can be so scary for that spirit, right? It can be so scary. But we need to live in all three layers. Okay, we have to have a very balanced existence in body, mind, and spirit. And if we don't, then we kind of become a very awkward spirit. Okay, and it's really difficult for you to receive the best messages and to make sense of them and then to deliver them to your client, to the sitter. So these are four other elements that I want you to be aware of. So yeah, you have your body, mind, and spirit. How exactly do we get this information, Mana? Okay, so you have something called the universal consciousness. The universal consciousness, think of it, and I'm pretty sure some of you have thought about universal consciousness. It's the oneness, right? It's the ocean of information out there that we come from. We come from universal consciousness and we go back into it. Okay, so we are like little waves of the ocean. They're individual waves coming up with our own little stories and personalities, and then we go right back into that ocean. So we are contributing to it. Your life stories, everything that you go through will go back into the universal consciousness. And then you have a new body and a new story. And so when mediums are trying to receive information, that's where we go. We try to tap into the universal consciousness because everything that has ever happened is stored. Nothing is lost. This session here will be stored. Okay. And if some trained medium 100 years from now wants to tap into what you guys were doing with me, they will have access to it. Okay. Then you have your pineal gland. So physically, because remember it's mind, body, and spirit. Physically, we have a cell phone tower that sits in the back of your head. It's called the pineal gland. It's been there since, which is why we can all do this, right? We all have the same makeup in a way. So you have the pineal gland, which allows you to think of it like the internet connection, right? So universal consciousness is your internet. Pineal gland allows your laptop, which is your body, to connect with that internet and receive information. When that information comes to you, it comes in the form of not just your physical senses, but your 8 clear senses. Okay, clear means clear, receiving images or taste or smell or sound or emotions, receiving through touch, right? All those things are clairs. So that's how mediums are receiving information. And we are able to make sense of it. So, for instance, if I am just working on my laptop and suddenly I taste a macaroon in my mouth, I'm like, I'm not eating a macaroon. How do I taste it? Well, perhaps there's a spirit trying to send me a message. Okay, maybe they loved macaroons. So that's how we receive information and make sense of it. And then you have vibrational resonance. Whew, vibrational resonance is left out in most trainings out there. I'll tell you what a vibrational resonance is. And it's not just important for mediumship, it is important for you in your life. So let's say that this is a glass, okay? And it's a glass of wine, empty glass of wine. I place this glass in front of a loudspeaker. The loudspeaker, at some point, the sound that's coming from the loudspeaker will match the vibration of this empty glass and it will explode. So there's a vibrational resonance. So when there is a vibrational resonance between two things, it actually amplifies the effect. That can be good or bad, right? So if you are feeling depressed, you're attracting other people or situations which are equal to your vibration of, let's say, depression or sadness. And when you do that, that gets amplified and that gets magnified. Same thing with good stuff. You're having a great day, you're happy, you're always in a positive mood. You are going to attract because you have what? You have electromagnetic energy all around you. So as magnets, you're going to attract same vibration as your body and your mind. Same vibration. So if you're feeling sad and angry, same thing comes to you. If you're feeling amazing, and remember, it's not just what you're feeling on the surface, it's like deep down, right? Deep down in your psyche. Are you afraid? Are you fearful? Are you always afraid of things happening, going wrong? All those things will count in the total vibration of you as a spirit, and that's what comes to you, right? And if it's good, it's still getting amplified. If it's bad, still getting amplified. So that is vibrational resonance. Very important for us to understand that as mediums, because mediumship is just a step away from channeling. Okay, you are channeling in mediumship, but you're channeling dead people. You're speaking at people who have passed away. When you get to physical channeling or just simply channeling, you are going to channel higher vibrational beings, spirit guides, ascended masters, even source. So that's a different kind of channeling. Mediumship is evidential channeling, where you receive evidence from dead people so you can bring it to their family members. Right? So that's how mediumship works. When you put all these elements together, you get mediums. It's like a pro mediums. This is how they work. Um, I am going to open up for questions, but I just want to go through the level 1 training. So we have the training that starts in January. So if anyone is interested, it starts on Saturday, January 31st. Okay, that's the date. Yeah. So we have two groups starting next year through CLI. CLI is my school. Okay. And we have two different groups. One starts in on January 31st. It's a 12-week training. It's going to be 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And there are going to be 3 sessions in there. So 12 sessions, but then there are additional 3 sessions of practice in there. So kind of 15 weeks. Okay. And the next one starts in July. So if you miss the one that's in January, you can still pick up the one that's in July. But it's all going to be 12 weeks of just actual training. And then there are 3 additional weeks of practice infused, like they're in there. Okay. So you're looking at about 15 weeks. Um, in those training weeks, it's 2 hours training. So Saturdays, 2 hours. And it's initially the first 2 weeks, it's all a lot of lecture style like this. We share a lot of science and research so that you get very sound, you understand how mediumship works. But then we start practicing. So then we split this session between about 1 hour of training, research, working on ourselves, shadow work, and then about 45 minutes of practice. We'll get a client and you'll start practicing on a client in class. The certification is 1350 as the price, but we have payment plans. Anyone who's thinking about training with me, if you need a payment plan, all you have to do is just email me. Okay, that's my email. Oh, my email's not here, but I'll send that to you. You probably have my email already. But if you just email and say, I need a payment plan, Kimberly will work with you on that. Okay. What's important is you have access to the training. So don't shy away just by looking at the price. Reach out and see how we could make this work for you. So those are the two groups that start next year. But let's stop here. I'm gonna come to any questions that Sylvia, you, and Andy, you guys have. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. I'll give you a minute or so to do that. I can, here, let me give you, you should be able to unmute if you have any questions, okay? And for both of you here, I'm going to put my email in the chat in case you have anything. Okay, Sylvia, what is the best way to rebalance when one of your chakras is off? I sometimes use the chakra sound bath available for free online, but it is more effective to use a whole body chakra sun bath or focus on the one being affected. That's a good question. You could do a complete chakra meditation that opens up all the chakras and then kind of winds them down. Okay, I have a really good meditation for that. It's like 10 minutes. I can send that to you, Sylvia. I'll actually send that to everyone who's signed up for this. But it's a really good 10-minute. There are other versions of chakra meditation that should help. I was teaching a crystal class this morning. I teach crystals, and you could do, if you are into crystals, you could do a crystal layout. So what I would do is the best crystal to use for balancing would be a clear quartz and amethyst. Okay, those two are very neutral. Don't use anything else because if you don't really understand how crystals work, you don't want to get too complicated. So, but clear quartz and amethyst, you could literally place them on the chakra that feels off, and you're going to bring in universal energy through the chakra, through the crystal into your chakra and balance it. Okay, so that's another way of balancing it as well. Andy, yes, so that's a great question. So if you do the January training, and by the time you're done, if you feel that I need to redo it, the redo is going to be free but it's only if you sign up with CLI. Okay, because I remember I also teach at the Den, and the Den has their level 1 that starts in February, right? And the only difference between the two groups is what I just mentioned. With Den, I don't, yeah, I don't control anything, so the redos are not available for the Den. If you're going to sign up for the Saturday train, it's also a different day. So the Den training is going to be Sunday evenings. Okay. So if that time works better for you, there's also a Sunday evening, 5 to 7, that starts on February 1st with the Den. But if you are like more like a Saturday morning person, then the Saturday training is with CLI. That's my school. And then if you're doing that, then you can redo level 1 as many times as you want. Okay. Uh, and I recommend that. I definitely think people need more than once. You gotta at least do it. At least do it twice. You will see that all my students have been like doing that. Um, because I don't, my training, my mediumship training was about 2 years, long time. I did that 20 years ago. And so now people want everything fast, right? Everyone wants things fast. Um, so let me get this person in, but we are, um, let me see. Okay, Andy, yeah. Hi, Sumati. We are about to wrap up here, but we have recorded this session and I'm going to send out the replay, so you should be able to watch the replay. But we're just about to wind up. But yes, Andy, to your point, uh, I hope that makes sense. So Den has its own mediumship training that I teach. It is 12 weeks. It starts in February, and then through my school, it's January. It's a different day, same training. The setup is different though, because you can redo with me. With Den, there's no redos. Um, and yeah, but the pricing, the curriculum, the teacher, the experience is the same. So then it really depends on you if if Saturday is better for you, then do Saturday with me. If Sunday evenings are better for you, then you have the other option of signing up with the Den as well. Okay. Okay. So let's wrap up here. You guys can go have a beautiful Saturday. And for those of you who missed this, I am going to send out the replay. If you have any questions, just send me an email with your questions after you replay the session. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful Saturday.